I did some hustling this week because, I had this story on my website that I wanted to talk about that really was interesting. It, of course, didn't really get much play or didn't really get any attention from local media, but that's why I'm here, to kind of clean up between the lines or get what slips between the cracks and let you guys know about it. Independent journalist on the left. So, there are things that, I don't want to use buzzwords and pejoratives, but the mainstream media or, the corporate news, right? There's stuff they won't cover, right? In fact, there was somebody took photos at this event, but the Santa Maria Times didn't really use it. They just kind of, nothing really happened, right? And as they see it. I see it, something did happen. So what happened was, in the city of Santa Maria, on April 24th, 2021, just this last Saturday, there was a planned protest against police violence by members of a local leftist organization called SBSLO Alliance. We're in Santa Barbara County here to the south, we are just south of here in Santa Maria, San Luis Obispo County. So they're Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo County Area Alliance. This is their Instagram page. Let me get the right thing here, the screen share. So this is their Instagram. You can follow them. And this was the flyer. So they announced this. This was, I believe, the day after Ma'Khia Bryant was killed in Ohio. And enough is enough, rally against police and right-wing violence. And members of SBSLO said, F America with a KKK and F 1776. Let's see. White supremacist groups and the police are the same people. They cannot be reformed. The police must be abolished. White allies, especially those who live in Orchid and southern SLO County, you need to show up. We need you to use your bodies. Liberal and progressive politicians don't care about us. The police don't protect us. We take care of us. Enough is enough. Rally against police and right-wing violence on Saturday, April 24th. Meet up at South Broadway in East Cook. I have interviewed folks from this organization on this channel. They organize a lot of different stuff here in the area. They do mutual aid. They've done counter demonstrations against, like Trump events. That's a YouTube video I have back in the log of my videos. You can check that out. But they have here mask required. Wear all black or dark clothes. Try to hide your identity. So they're kind of going with that anti-fascist. We got to watch out for, the police finding out who we are or angry conservatives finding out who we are. And that really happened in this case before the event even started. So the Santa Maria Police Department became aware of the event, but so did conservatives who came out to counter demonstrate on, what's the word I'm looking for? On Facebook. They were on these Facebook groups. So there's a few of them. So a lot of it's detailed in this story. And guys, I have 4 people here with me. Thank you for being here with me. Please like the video. I'm live streaming here. Of course, subscribe if you haven't. I assume you have. And if you can, say hello to me in the chat. I haven't got a single chat message yet. So maybe it's just my my software isn't working quite the same way. But if you could, please say hello in the chat. I will say hello back. But so this story, very interesting. I could not be there the day of the protest. During the protest, I was out working, but I went as soon as I was done with my work. I went to see, but pretty much everything had dwindled down. And the activists were there, and I talked to them a bit. And I looked up on the mall. This was at the corner of Enos and Broadway in Santa Maria, where City Hall is. And right across Enos, along Broadway from City Hall, it's Cook Street, not Enos. It's Cook Street. And right across Cook Street is the Santa Maria Town Center Mall. And the big, flashy new movie theater that nobody's been able to go into for a year. And there were guys up there in fatigues with, kind of hats, like I can't remember what they call them, but it's kind of like a brimmed hat. And the activists were telling me how those guys up there had guns. And it turns out it was the Santa Maria Police Department. Hey, Chewy's here in the comments. Chewy is with the group, so SBSLO Alliance. But so I called the Santa Maria Police Department, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we placed these snipers up there." They didn't exactly want to call them snipers. I'll get to that. But here's the guy, SMPD officer on the mall of the Santa Maria Town Center, in preparation to surveil a protest that was literally all of 8 people, guys. It was 8 people that started at 11 a.m. And I'll read you a little bit here. This is on my website, politicalpain.com. This is where I do some original reporting from time to time. I also do these live streams every Friday. So the Santa Maria Police Department, SMPD, Station 2, quote, long observers with scoped rifles on the roof of the Santa Maria Town Center to surveil an April 24 protest against police violence in the city's downtown area. The officers are usually part of the city's SWAT team, SMPD Sergeant Woody Vegas said, and are referred to as long observers and long rifle officers by the department, though the title has changed over the years. Quote, they used to be called snipers. For tactical operations, they are often used, Vegas said. For this incident, a possible potential rally or civil unrest, this was the first time we've put them out there to observe. So this is the first time the Santa Maria Police Department has ever found the need to put out literal snipers who did have scoped rifles. As you can see, these are both the same image. Credit to Kovac Photo. Thank you, Nick, for sharing these, contributing these images to my story here, my article. But you can see here, this is Kovac Photo on Instagram. Oh, I am blown up on the gram. But anyway, I posted about this. Included some of Nick's photos, Kovac _photo on Instagram. But so if we just go, I already explained the event, but the event got attention on local conservative Facebook groups. Now, a few of these started up, I think many around the country, but a few of these started up locally after the resurgence of Black Lives Matter last year, right? And they put the word protect in front of a city's name, right? Protect Santa Maria is one. Protect Paso Robles is another. Paso Robles is in North County, San Luis Obispo. I call it the Santa Maria of San Luis Obispo. But anyway, the pictures of the flyer that SBSLO Alliance put out got around, right? And so they were kind of insulting and making, talking smack about, FBLM and Antifa and, lame, don't bring that shit here. We back our blue. Wow, I'm so glad I moved out of this circus, left-wing socialist morons. And this guy specifically says, watch out for snipers, which did end up on the roof of the Santa Maria Town Center. And so, it was a little shocking probably more than a little shocking for the activists with SBSLO Alliance. I spoke with Jose. Jose said, at the moment we were scared, even if it was the police. We were scared for our lives. When you have the snipers pointed at you, and we have seen what happens across the country, these police officers are trigger happy. They just want a reason to shoot. And of course, according to the police department, this was just to keep everyone safe. Because the other thing that happened was a bunch of counter protesters showed up as well. Now, SBSLO Alliance, they have gone and counter demonstrated Trump events. Look into my past videos for that. But now they were having their own kind of right wing, counter demonstrators themselves. That's literally a 3%er militia shirt, 1776. It's a 3%er shirt. And there's also another photo. Thanks again to Kovac Photo for these. They just kind of stood in front of people, blocked their signs, crossed their arms. They had their own signs. Like one was just like F this guy with an arrow. The guy was kind of creative. You could spin the arrow around to point in different directions. And stuff like this. They had their own flags and, but this was part of the PD, their kind of excuse was, well, we were just trying to keep everything safe. We were afraid of possible social unrest or one of these things happened. Now, I will say, you guys should know that this site the downtown area at the corner of Cook and Broadway. These are both, this area has had several like Black Lives Matter events happen since, George Floyd was murdered by Derek Chauvin, right? And so one of them was May 31st, 6 days after George Floyd was killed. And it was big. It was really big. It was hundreds of people. I got footage. Again, this is on my website, politicalpain.com. But, there was, hundreds of people in the street. And, one of the bigger protests I've ever seen in Santa Maria, right? And you can kind of hear people were honking their horns and kind of chanting, and like hundreds of people. This is right after George Floyd. And hours later into the night, it wasn't until much hours later that there was some unrest and looting at the mall. For just a matter of minutes, the Santa Maria Police Department was right there. It was as they started to break everything up at night. You know what? I actually do have some footage of that I've captured, and I think just to just to let you know, because I want to depict what happened last year. Let's see. I think I can find it. Here it is. So on YouTube, here I have, I've thrown up my own live streams on here. I've done lots of different things now. I used to do try to do more prepared content, right? And now I do this live stream. So right now I'm just going back to some of my old stuff, and I want to show you what ended up happening. So basically there was a big spectacle in the center of the intersection. People were kind of people were doing burnouts with cars and motorcycles. People were setting off fireworks. It was really crazy. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. But it was this was hours and hours and hours and hours after the initial protests, right? So to say that these were all the same people, the hundreds of people who came, and when there was several dozen now, maybe around 100 or 150, just kind of doing crazy stuff, doing wheelies. Here, this is some of it. So I tried to people are getting rowdy. People are getting kind of crazy. I also think this is just. I was talking about what was going on. I'm trying to get the point where I walk out of the car. And you can see they lit a bonfire in the center of the street. Here it is. I think I got it. Yeah, so here it is. This is so crazy. They lit a little bonfire in the street. Again, guys, this is 6 days after George Floyd. And here we can see there are 3 or 4 people who are still there with signs. So here we are. There were some kids who stayed there all night. And then a bunch of other just people came, and they were doing they did donuts around people. They were just causing a ruckus. And then as the police came in to clear everything out, that's when the mall was broken into for people ran through, broke windows, a couple things were stolen. But so if to be fair to the SMPD, that was what they were thinking might happen. Really, I find it a little. They were also in anticipation of the trial. So here's from the story. If you read the story, I try to, go back and forth between what the Santa Maria Police Department said and how they saw it, and then what these activists, SBSLO Alliance, said. So the SMPD was anticipating something similar on April 24th. Vega explained, saying the entire last year was a real learning experience with our department. The agency was also expecting a reaction to the verdict in the Derek Chauvin trial, which ultimately saw the former officer found guilty of all charges in the murder of Floyd. Here's a quote from Sergeant Vega. A lot of agencies like ours have been preparing for what could happen after the verdict, he said. We've been doing a lot of training. Smaller agencies like ours don't have a lot of training or preparation for things like this. Our agency has been preparing for civil unrest on situations, if not for here in Santa Maria, but if we're asked to go aid other areas. So, I definitely, and here, I'll let the activists speak for themselves. This is again from Jose. We had the Santa Maria Police Department, I gave them credit last year after May 31st that they didn't run in and start cracking skulls and shooting tear gas and all their stuff like that. They showed restraint. And there was some, unrest and lawlessness, but it was very short and brief. And because the police weren't punitive and didn't come through beating on people, I think that, I thought they handled it in one of the better ways they could. This, I don't feel so much. I'll get to my opinion in a second, but this is what our activist Jose said, quote, "We think our police department made a fool of themselves. They're obviously overfunded and they have nothing better to do with all the resources they have. We were protesting against police brutality and they were up there aiming at us with sniper rifles or whatever they want to call it. We have a history of local law enforcement agencies claiming what happens in other cities with their police departments, but that's not here. That's not happening here," he added. "But I think what we saw Saturday proves our point. That's police brutality right there. They were obviously militarized." So here is some of the footage from the activists. This is from their Instagram. I captured it and put it up on politicalpain.com. Everybody go check out my website, politicalpain.com. I'm going into like a gross DJ voice, but check this out.
They're supposedly here to keep the peace, quote unquote.
It's talking about
we're
the
surrounded. But they're all talk most times, like this vaping hillbilly.
She turned and looked. She called him a hillbilly. Jesus. So the right wingers did outnumber SBSO.
So there's Alliance. These snipers, quote unquote, up here.
Yes.
Nobody knows if they're cops or what the fuck are they.
At that time, they didn't know they were cops.
So we got threats though to watch out for snipers. So if we die, now we know who did it.
We got a pendejo up there.
So that he stuck around. This was the time when I made it. This is hours after the protest. This is at like 1 or 2 o'clock. They were still up there just watching these activists. And then look at their... Wow. It was not clear from far away if these guys were law enforcement. And, it almost looked like, it looked semi-military fatigues, right? I kind of think that the response from the Santa Maria, if I'm getting into my opinion, that putting snipers on the roof of the mall was a totally disproportionate move by the Santa Maria Police Department. 8 activists showed up. And who knows, there might have been more, but not only do left-wing activists in Santa Maria have to deal with intimidation tactics from the police department, who they're actually protesting, but a bunch of right-wing Facebook group people are making threats about, look out for snipers, or, they might feign, oh, this is a joke, right? But then, this had an effect on the turnout. At least that's what activists say. This is another quote from the story from Jose. "Santa Maria is a very small town. It's still very conservative, even nowadays," he said. "The flyer got a lot of traction, not just from the right, but people were concerned because of the comments that were being made online. They were really concerned for their safety." So, there might have been more activists, but, maybe they were just afraid to come out. I think also a lot of people have gone a bit to sleep, right? There's that whole thing ever since Joe Biden took office. Maybe more people might have showed up if Derek Chauvin walked away, as so many police officers do in situations like this. But you also have, there must have been some people who didn't want to deal with the intimidation from, local right-wingers. And some of them, there were conflicts last year, and I've documented some of that here on my channel as well. But, also here on my website, Political Pain, but just begs, reminding that this was our police department, literally on the mall. Let's see. Oh, the photo stays the same size. But literally hanging out on the mall with a scoped rifle and binoculars. And, oh, look, he's got a little Costco water. Got to stay hydrated when you're up there, guys. Got to stay hydrated. It's important. So this is the kind of stuff I try to do on politicalpain.com. Like I said, I know the photographer for the Santa Maria Times was out there, but they didn't do a story on the fact that the police department was placing snipers. They might call them long observers. They're just there to observe. But they're dudes up there with scope rifles and fatigues. It's pretty concerning behavior. It's militarization. I agree. I mean, this is why I'm on the left. This is why I kind of talk to the activists and, try to, show that this was just a disproportionate response. That's, I feel, my role as a journalist is to hold the government accountable. It's one of our big important things that we're supposed to do. So hopefully, hey, all you Santa Marians, this is now on the record. Our police department put snipers on the roof for 8 left-wing protesters. And hopefully, and then when I questioned them, tried to say, oh, well, if the counter protesters tried to attack, we would need to keep everyone safe. I don't see how, either. I mean, they could call in. That's the thing. They were reporting to a command post, but I don't get how a scoped rifle, is going to keep people on the ground more safe. Like, you got to be a real crack shot. But also, this is this is original reporting. I do this sometimes. I also do interviews on this channel. Most weeks when I do some original reporting, I don't do an interview. But here's the thing. You can also donate on my channel. This is the only place I accept money for my journalism. I'm not monetized yet here on YouTube. I got this tie on so I could do the old... oh my gosh, how am I blanking on his name? I don't get no respect. I ain't monetized yet. Rodney Dangerfield, one of my favorites. So you can donate here, $5 increments. You could give me more than one. That would be sweet. But yeah, so that was crazy story that happened here in Santa Maria. I got a lot of people here in the watching. It went from nobody to a lot of people really quick. So we had up to 16, 17. We're down to 13. I got 1 person on Twitch, 2 people on YouTube, and 1 on Facebook. All of you can comment. I'm cross platform here. All of you can comment, and I will acknowledge. Evil Yoda's here. Hey, Evil Yoda says thank you for your service. Yeah. Good journalism is a service, right? Chewy, donate to Joe, people. Thank you, Chewy. He's got a green heart there. Give me the cash, please, very much, please. Evil Yoda. Oh, you already said that. Trev Flat 5, your papers, please. Geez. John Ross, left is best. Thank you, John. It sure is. Evil Yoda, the mall owner called the shots, probably told them to kill thieves and gave them the keys to the roof. So I did talk to security at the mall, and they did not request that the police department come. The police department reached out to them and said, but the security guy did not go on record with me, so I didn't include it in the story. So I'm not going to quote him, but I did talk to him and told him I was a journalist, and he said, yeah, you could say we didn't call them; they came to us, and so there's that. But they totally facilitated the Santa Maria Police Department getting onto the roof. Because they had a few windows broken last year, and there was looting, but it was literally the looting lasted like 30 seconds or 40 a minute, whatever it was, because the Santa Maria Police Department was right there. I mean, it all went down within a matter of seconds that the glass was broken. Most of the people just ran through the mall acting a fool, yelling, woo, F the police and all that. Whoa, I did receive a donation. Thank you very much. Hey, Mr. J. Coleman, thank you for the donation. What a generous person you are. That's very sweet. A little more, and I will be maybe close to minimum wage here on the channel for the stream. Darkhood88 is holding it down on Twitch. Thank you very much, Darkhood88. I appreciate all of you. Mandy Sadowski says, so we were obviously trying to practice our new skills. That's like the police was saying that. I get that. Mandy's saying, barely time to grab shoes. I don't know what you mean. Evil Yoda must have been devastating to the poor rich owners. Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing, is there's a general moral argument made that I tend to agree with on the left that, property is not worth more than human lives, right? And you can replace the property, you can replace the windows. They did. And there were people who were held accountable for some of the stuff they did. I do know people who were doing the burnouts. This is like a year ago, guys. This is the other thing. SBSLO Alliance, the activists who did this anti-police event last week, they the whole thing about them is they weren't even like formed in the way that they are now. They weren't together and going out and doing activism until July following this May event. They weren't affiliated. Maybe a few of these people were there, like a few of the current members were there, but it was not organized by them. And really this whole event it's kind of interesting because I did ask the activists, like, hey, you have made this protest specifically about police violence, against police violence, of course. Rally is enough, right? And right-wing violence, one and the same. And I said, like, well, what do you, do you differentiate, how much? Because there's a lot of things to discuss, let's see, it's right-wing extremist violence and police violence. Is it ever kind of line up? And one thing I did link to in this story was the fact that a few weeks ago, earlier this month, California police fire officer was a Proud Boy, saying they have no tolerance for, quote, hate groups. This is the Fresno PD. It's the Fresno Police Department. A police department in California has fired a longtime officer after investigating his ties to the Proud Boys, denouncing the far-right extremists that some call a hate group. The officer, Rick Fitzgerald, rallied with the Proud Boys in November at a pro-Trump demonstration that devolved into violence. Captured in video clips that surfaced last Monday as online sleuths dug around in Fitzgerald's history. Announcing Fitzgerald's firing on Friday, Fresno Police Chief Paco Balderrama said he disapproves of, quote, any police officer affiliating themselves with violent or hateful groups. Quote, such ideology, behavior, and affiliations have no place in law enforcement and will not be tolerated within the ranks of the Fresno Police Department, Balderrama said in a statement. Public trust and accountability are paramount in our ability to fairly police this community. But this is the thing, like, law enforcement generally as an institution leans conservative. I don't think that's a controversial thing to say, right? We all kind of know, and it's mostly the American right wing that is flying these, like, thin blue line flags. And according to the activists, some of the members of the protect groups, right, in on Facebook are law enforcement. Some of them are police officers. And I remember, if you look back in some of my old videos, San Luis Obispo County District Attorney Dan Dow, part of the reason he was kicked off of Tiana Rada's case, she's a Black Lives Matter activist who he really tried to throw the book at, was because he went on this Protect Paso group to try to explain himself to all these local right-wingers why he only gave her misdemeanors and not felonies. It's fascinating because that district attorney, Dan Dow, he's very conservative. Go back in my videos if you don't know too much about him. He was hanging out with Candace Owens, trying to, at a secessionist event, at a California, we want to leave, California, a right-wing secessionist event. So, he, if you really look at it, he showed his bias, basically. He showed his bias. But there is a story I forgot to bring up. Let's see. Black Lives Matter arrests. Like a bunch of the arrests that were made. Let me find the exact thing. I have it on my phone. And sorry, guys. I had an extra music student today, so I didn't have the amount of time I usually have to prepare, and so I'm a little off from the seat of my pants today. I hope that's okay. But here's the story. Found it. So this is a trip, and this really shows you some of the politics of police and policing institutions. Criminal justice in the United States. Most charges against George Floyd protesters were dropped, analysis shows. Some prosecutors and law enforcement observers say departments carried out mass arrests as crowd control tactic. The vast majority of citations and charges against George Floyd protesters were ultimately They were not George Floyd they were Black Lives Matter protesters. But anyway, were ultimately dropped, dismissed, or otherwise not filed, according to a Guardian analysis of law enforcement records and media reports in a dozen jurisdictions around the nation. But some prosecutors and law enforcement observers charged that departments carried out mass arrests as a crowd control tactic, as a means to silence peaceful protesters, and as a public relations strategy designed to turn the public against demonstrators by making them appear more violent than they were. And what's more, some of the citing officers never witnessed the protests in the first place. Wow. Quote, it sends a message that you might get arrested if you express your views and First Amendment rights, said Vera Eidelman, staff attorney with the ACLU's Speech, Privacy, and Technology Project. Police absolutely should not be relying on mass arrests to control a crowd or silence people who they disagree with. Yes, so not only are they putting charges that they're mass arresting people and just slapping bogus charges on them, that even a prosecutor is like, I can't do anything with this. I cannot prosecute this. They are also police making political or PR, as this article says, public relations decisions, are trying to protect themselves and their image, and they are throwing super crazy hard charges on activists. We've seen it across the country. Here locally specifically, they were trying to I mentioned Dan Dow before, the SLO district attorney. He was trying to argue that blocking traffic is the Fifth Amendment violation. Like, I believe it's the Fifth Amendment, the right to free movement, your right to go wherever you want. So they're trying to say, like, oh, well, you block traffic for a few minutes to protest, you're violating their constitution. It's like kidnapping. You're kidnapping them in their car, right? This is also part of the justification for Republican state legislatures. Florida just passed a law where they want to make it legal to run into and kill protesters. They want to remove civil liability and in some cases criminal liability for driving your car into people if you just say, I was scared. So, the right, essentially, Republicans are trying to put this immunity, what do we call it when police don't get sued? I'm blanking on it. But they want to apply that to people who drive into protesters, which, we can think of Charlottesville. There was, during the resurgence of Black Lives Matter, there was a black man in Bakersfield who was run down by a car. The driver claimed it was all an accident. But then you also have, in Virginia, there were several times where people drove through protesters. In Virginia, a guy who did it was a KKK wizard, right? One of those goofy titles they have. J&J World, isn't right-wing BLM the real George Floyd protesters? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So it's just nuts. I'm noticing my light is really washed out because I don't have my usual. There's also been the controversy around the camera footage, the body cam footage from North Carolina, which they're not releasing to the public, because we see when there's total, when something is totally obviously wrong, and a cop kills a totally innocent person. And I'm sorry, but someone running away or just trying to resist arrest doesn't deserve to be summarily executed. That's what I believe. I saw call me a liberal, bleeding hot, right, as they used to say. But we know why police will sit on body cam footage, right? And it's because of reasons like this. New video shows California police shooting unarmed 16-year-old as he runs away. Quote, good shot? What is that? Newly released video of a 2017 police shooting in Fresno, California left an unarmed 16-year-old dead. Shows the teen running away from cops. CNN reports. The surveillance footage shows 16-year-old Isaiah Marietta Golding climbing a fence as he's chased by police in April 2017. Guys, this was 4 years ago, and we only just got the video. One cop can be seen climbing the fence in pursuit of Golding while another crouches down to fire a shot. The officer then fires through the fence, at which point Marietta Golding falls to the ground. One person is reportedly heard saying good shot in the body camera footage. So they shot this kid in the back. I'm not going to play it. It's there if you really need to see it. But I think it's insane that the police have not taken a step back a little bit and realized like what I've gone over this topic so many times on this channel already, and this channel's barely more than a year old. Because it was 2020, the year I started this channel, and it's just unreal the how little they've really paid attention to what activists are saying. Now there's this awareness on them, and the police are very cognizant of it. They're scared. I've heard them say, well, everybody's after us, everybody hates us. They blame the media. Oh, the media, paints things a certain way. I mean, in some cases, yes. In some cases, no. The media can be played by the police like a fiddle. That's why I believe in independent journalism, like what I'm trying to do here, so I can, let you know that this was our city's police department on the mall. This is the mall. It's supposed to be fun and nice, and this whole idea that the right wing gets to be as paranoid as all hell, right? They get to be super paranoid, because the left, and I mean the whole thing last year. There were civilians on the roofs, with guns in Arroyo Grande for a totally peaceful protest that literally one of my music students went to. The kid's like 12 years old, and he's joining his first protest, and it's in the middle of the day, and there were dudes up on like these roofs of these buildings with AR-15s. This is the actual police department in Santa Maria, where they feel the need. I mean, I think part of it is, an intimidation tactic. And they even cop to that, pun I guess intended, I'm sorry. They cop to that where they're like, yeah, we want everybody to know we're there and we're watching, right? So nothing will get out of hand. But it's also like, if you don't think, I mean, guys, I was in a gun store in this city right after, the May 31st thing here, and I heard a police officer joke about running his car into people. It's a local law enforcement officer who thought he was in, a totally, on his side audience or whatever. He thought he was in safe territory, and he said, yeah, you could just, you can tie one of those metal crowd control barriers to the hood and, use it like a plow. He's joking about plowing into protesters. And, I mean, like how many events of unarmed people do we have to have before we just recognize that our police is totally militarized? This is ridiculous. This is the mall in my city where there was a SMPD officer with a sniper rifle for 8 left-wing protesters and about more than a dozen right-wingers, maybe up to 20 at one point. So, the right-wing people were there in numbers. They were outnumbering the left, protesters. But, they still needed to have snipers in plain sight, kind of showing that they had scoped rifles. I don't think so.